Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be discussing the legacy behind the Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire. Before we start, I just want to mention that there is content warnings for trauma, physical injuries relating to fire and death, so please be warned. Many of you may not know the story behind the fire. However, some of you may have previous knowledge already, learned about it in school. Nonetheless, today I will be bringing back remembrance on the fire and would like to educate you all on how the fire changed the future of fire safety. Also, if you are unaware of what a shirtwaist is, it's actually a woman's blouse that was commonly worn to work in the early 1900s. So my thesis statement that ties to my paper states that it is indeed disheartening that it took such a calamitous event for the government to grasp the extent of the problem. However, it is undeniable that without this tragedy, labor reforms may not have taken the shape of fire safety protocols that exist today. By learning about and remembering the Triangle Shirtwaist factory fire, society can keep its legacy alive and inspire future generations to advocate for workers' rights. So a good place to start to learn about the history of the fire would be on this slide, where the fire actually happened in Manhattan, New York, in the Ash Building, which is this building, if you can see my cursor. And the fire actually took place in the 8th up to the 10th floor, and many people on the 10th floor tried to escape through the roof. People on the lower floors tried to escape through the fire escape or the elevator shaft, but unfortunately the fire escape was packed with workers. There were approximately 500 workers at the time of the fire, and the elevator shaft broke, and many people had to jump down the elevator shaft in order to escape the flame. When firefighters arrived on scene, it took them 30 minutes to extinguish the fire, and the tragic outcome of the fire left 70 injuries and 146 people dead. After the fire on April 5th, 1911, thousands of New Yorkers came together to march through the streets demanding a change in their unjust labor laws for safer working conditions. And I also just wanted to point out that the majority of victims' lives that were taken on the day of the fire and participants of the protest after the fire were mostly underage or young adult immigrant women. The youngest victim was only 14. Hearing victim impacts are extremely important in understanding the reality of what happened on the day of the fire. The physical injuries for survivors left many with long-term health issues, from inhaling the smoke to being badly burnt. Many of those who witnessed and experienced the fire suffered PTSD and many other mental disorders, but ultimately listening to these stories can teach people on what to do or what not to do when there is a fire. United States Senator Elizabeth Warren spoke out on how the lasting legacy left behind what the victims went through, what makes up the hardworking woman in today's society. This shows a great deal of empowerment to women in today's labor force. But ultimately, the aftermath of the devastation led to the trial against the shirtwaist owners. Max Blank and Isaac Harris owned the building at the time and were convicted of 7 counts of manslaughter. Unfortunately, the unfair jury mostly consisted of business owners in the city and favored the Triangle Shirtwaist owners, which declared them innocent. Many of the families felt enraged with results and continued to protest after the trial. Through victim impacts and expert analysis, the government finally took action and passed a series of measures between 1911 and 1914 for stricter fire safety code that has ultimately saved thousands of lives throughout the years. To keep the legacy alive, a memorial in Manhattan was recently created, and people around the city and activists get involved during the anniversary of the fire. This event will forever remain a turning point in history for New Yorkers. And my last slide is just the list for all the sources that were used throughout the presentation. And just want to say thank you for sitting along to listen and educate yourself on this heavy topic. I hope everyone has a great rest of their semester.